Let's dive into the contentious debate surrounding parental accountability in the aftermath of the Crumbley trial. What does justice look like, and at what cost? Join the conversation.
James Crumbley's involuntary manslaughter conviction for failing to prevent his son's school shooting sparks debate over parental responsibility and the potential for biased legal precedent, raising concerns about disproportionate impacts on marginalized communities and the perpetuation of mass incarceration. Let's go, Joel.
Oh, well, this is a common area that we have to have where we need to look at everything. We have to really pay attention to our laws. Look, Biden back in the day was a strong advocate of a strong justice, right? We got to incarcerate, we got to do all of these things, and he increased the how do you put it, these laws where it's like, okay, minimum mandatories. Nobody thought about what the effect was going to be in the future, right? This looks to be an area that is not going to really truly impact the white community as much as it will impact low income families. It will, those that are struggling. I see this as like affirmative action, on steroids.
My concern about this article by Nia T. Evans and Mother Jones went straight to the race issue. And I'm like, whoa. I was like, wait, slow the fuck down here. Government has taken on the responsibility of caretaker, guardian, parent, husband, and it's about time that we take more and more responsibility as parents for parenting, period. Now, I'm drawing on my 20 plus year career in child welfare and family services and seeing how parents were absolved of their responsibilities to parent their children because the state came in and took over, and not really holding parents accountable the way we should have. As I look back on my career, I look at how the system is set up and how the system is designed to defeat the parent's role as the parent, putting up barriers, making issues that could be resolved without the interference of court, without the interference of removing children from out of the home. If our systems in our society, like our health systems, our mental health systems, were better organized and better financed, a lot of these issues would not be a problem. A lot of these things would not be a problem. Parents will feel supported. Parents will have resources. Our children will feel supported, have resources. And I was disappointed that Ms. Evans looked at this situation and said, "Oh, okay, this is going to affect Black people. This is going to affect the Hispanics. This is going to affect the poor more." You know something? This is going to affect people who have children who should be exercising their role as a parent and fail to
But
do
I
so,
think,
regardless of
but
race
but I think you also
or
have
wealth.
to. I think you also have to take into effect, that she makes very good points on how they're legitimate points.
Mhm.
When you talk about black children and teens are 14 times more likely than white children to die by guns. Um, they are more likely to live in
Yeah,
neighborhoods with social and economic pressures that generate gun violence. The the thing is, I agree with you, David, that we need to be better involved in parenting. But
yeah,
the things that are taking away from parenting, that is pushing that is pushing the weight onto the school system, that is pushing the weight onto all these other systems, government, is the fact that parents are absent at home
yeah,
because they don't have the money, because they have to economically be working additional jobs in this beautiful Biden economy, working 3 jobs, 2 parents. They're not home for their children. Then they go to jail. They're still not home for their children because their child decided to do something illegal. So, David, this is a good article in an aspect because it shows that the Biden administration is not going to help the low income danger dangerous, as it is, it's not going to be effective for the people they say they're supposed to be effective for. So, David, I love this article. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Biden needs to fix the economy. He needs to fix, he's trying to fix the world right now. He wants to be the policeman, so he should just drop out of the job and go get deputized in Texas, and he can go secure the border. David,
I
I didn't know Joel was
I
going.
I kindly disagree. Yes, I see where you went with that. Though, this is an issue that goes beyond any particular administration. We're talking about a generation, maybe two, of issues. And I'll speak about the Black community since Ms. Evans has addressed that. We're the guns are in the hands of our sons, our nephews, our uncles, our dads, people that we know in our community, people that we live with in our community. It's the community's responsibility, it's the family's responsibilities to address this. If they want to have, if they want our communities to be terrorized and continue to be terrorized, then we have to look inward and say enough's enough. We have to be responsible. And it goes back to, and there's a problem with the Black family. It has deteriorated over the years. More and more of our people are born into single member families, being raised by older generations. And it's the culture that allows Black children and teens to be 14 times more likely than white children to die by guns. It's our culture that allow us to live in social and economic pressures that generate gun violence in our neighborhoods. And so it's not the government. Again, you're saying it's the Biden administration. Enough responsibility being handed off to government. It's the community's responsibility. It's the
Well,
culture's responsibility to address these needs. And we're
uh,
not doing it. We're,
I'm
we're
just
we're not doing it as
I'm just
effectively as we could do.
right, and this article would have never been written if this was a wealthy family that it affected. If a wealthy family, if the Crumbley family was a wealthy family and well above their means and they went to jail, this would never have been an issue. But this is a low income family. They had low standards in their house. So they bought the guns. They had the guns around. They had no responsibility. Is so I guess it's a matter of, hey,
I
this
don't think
life.
it was. I don't think it was I think it was more irresponsibility, and their priorities were in the wrong place. They weren't with Ethan. They were into whatever Jennifer Crumbley was doing with her lover, whatever Mr. Crumbley was doing. He wasn't there for his son the way he should have been. He wasn't protecting his family. He wasn't leading his family. He was not providing for his
It
family.
sounds
James
exact.
Crumpler.
I know it sounds exactly it sounds exactly like what I'm saying. If this was a wealthy family that was above their means, it would have never happened. Is what you're saying, right?
I don't think so. No, I don't
I
think you
don't.
have to
I,
be
I'm
above.
with
I
I'm with
think.
you. David. I'm with you, David. Don't
Okay.
don't take me wrong. I was just saying.
Oh, okay. All
I
right.
was just saying because look,
Mhm.
it's a problem when we get judged on what our children do.
Mm,
I feel a problem because my son, with as much as we invested in, as much as we did, there were times I would fear that something was going to happen and I was going to be held responsible for what he did. But I was doing all the right things. So I don't like this. I don't like this at all because of the precedents it sets. It puts even more pressure on somebody who's working hard to prevent something. Like when my son was younger, we were working on a lot of different things. I actually asked the government to not deploy me one time so that we could actually seek the help he needed.
mhm.
um, what if something were to happen? I, I'm not going to jail because I asked for a reassignment and I did the things proper. But what happens if somebody doesn't see it that way? That this is a tricky this is a tricky place to be, David. And I know you worked in the industry, so
Yes.
you have an understanding firsthand. I, as a parent, look at this in a different way because of the way, how hard it was to stay away from, social services. How do you prevent when you have a son that's suffering from ADHD with with violent tendencies? What are you going to do? You're seeking the help, you're doing the things right, but you're still going to have social services breathing down your neck at some point.
And that's exactly the point I was going to bring. It's happening now. It may not. I mean, what happened to the Crumbleys is after the fact. Ethan went off. He killed people. They did not take the necessary steps to prioritize his mental health, to prioritize Ethan, and prioritize keeping those guns, that particular gun, safe from Ethan. And so, in child welfare, we try to prevent the Ethans from happening. We try to prevent further harm to not just the public, but to the child, and hopefully complement the skills, the positive skills of a parent, so that we minimize the risk, reduce the chances of abuse, and support families. Unfortunately, the system is not set up that way. It wasn't set up that way in Illinois. So much paper, so many documents, so many policies and procedures. It was just easier for a caseworker to just go see a child, like, oh, he's walking, talking, breathing, okay, and move on. Now, even caseworkers and supervisors are being held accountable. There are two who were arrested, and I used to supervise those two when I was in Illinois a decade ago. I supervised those two, and they
Mhm.
were veterans, and they were arrested for failure to do their jobs and prevent the death of a little boy in McHenry County, Illinois.
No, David,
Veteran.
I can't disagree with you. I mean, this is a hard one to, it's a hard one to really, um, you know, my rhetoric is to try to make really some conversation around it. You're 100% correct. The parents need to start raising their children, and raising your children means more than just making sure that they're breathing in the morning and that they get to school on time.
Mhm.
And that somebody else takes over the responsibility. Yes, I'm going to make sure I get my child to the government in the morning. I'm going to try to pick my child up from the government after school program. I'm going to pick my child up because, while I'm out there doing my drugs, and I'm not talking this with everybody, doing my drugs and taking care of myself and my pleasures with my affair or my work that's taking me out of state. And yeah, we are selfish individuals, and we have become so selfish that we forget that we're raising a family. um, or we have an absent parent in our household.
Mhm.
And listen, it starts at home. I think this is a good topic that you brought up, David. It's hard, and I agree that the person probably shouldn't go straight to race, because every single one of us at some point has taken the role of self-interest over family interest.
I can agree with some of the things you said there. We are holding we've always held one another accountable. And again, with my particular past experience, we hold parents accountable. We held parents accountable to prevent the Ethan Crumbleys from happening. This is after the fact. Jennifer and James Crumbley is after the fact. And it's about time. It is about time. And unfortunately for the students who were injured and the four that were killed at Oxford High School, this could have been prevented. A lot of this could have been prevented.
No, I agree. And David, thank you for bringing this topic up. Look, we do a lot to try to bring information to you. We'd like to hear your comments on this. We want you to be involved in our network. This is Jay in Washington Network production. We are Jay in Washington, and we're your political innovators. So please give us your comments. Subscribe. Get
Mhm.
be part of our Informer newsletter.
Yes.
Look at our blogs. Our blogs right now are celebrating women, because this is Women's History Month. Give us some topics that you might want to hear about. Great opportunity, David. David made sure that You Can't Make This Shit Up was straight out there on the topic of a local issue that just popped up, which I think you should check out. When you think of Regina Hill, our local in Orlando, great coverage, David. Great coverage on that. So we're working for you. We need you to help us grow. And look, it's j-washington.com. You get on j-washington.com. You can get to all our socials. You can get anywhere you need to go. If you have questions, just ask.
Thank you, everyone. We appreciate it. Like, share, hit the notification button. We hope that you enjoyed this broadcast and every broadcast. We're out.